Well, hello there, everyone, and welcome to the NJCAAE Fall 2021 Valorant Championship Grand Finals. I am Septilins with Jag virtually by my side, and we are stoked to be bringing you North Virginia Community College Nighthawks versus Madison College Wolfpack in a best-of-3 grand final here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. These are the two best teams we have here in the NJCAA. They've been battling all season, and well, one of these teams, Nova, is the returning victor. They've not won only once, but they have won twice, 2 times in a row. This would be a third time. That would be a
The
dynasty by
three-peat.
definition. But in their way is Madison. So, it's not all said and done yet. And, we're going to take a look at the matchup, at the players that we have today in just a moment. Here they are. And really quickly, I want to point out that two of the players on the side of Madison are
Yes,
twins. I think this is so cool.
I
Hinata
agree.
and Nezuko, siblings, twins. That's just cool. I mean, you're playing with your twin. How much cooler can that get?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to point out something as well. There's not a junior or a senior in sight. This is freshman and sophomore across the board, a brand new freshman team for Madison College, and they've made it all the way to a grand final. They're a freshman team. We can make the comfortable assumption they haven't been playing together long, other than Nezuko and Hinata, for example. But I mean, to think that a brand new team has fought their way to grands like this, undefeated no less, is an incredible thing to talk about.
Yeah, this is a brand new squad for Madison. This is also the first year they've had this program, so brand new team, and they've already made it to the grand finals. They've also had an undefeated run, both teams undefeated up into this. A few map losses here and there. I know Nova particularly just lost one in the semifinals. Were able to get the reverse sweep off of that. So they're just built different. What else can you say about it? They have just had amazing runs overall. And Nova, even though they've, as we talked about before, have won back-to-back championships, this is actually a completely rebuilt roster from
Yeah,
that. So the championship team is not there anymore, and yet they're still here at the end.
yeah, and that's something to consider. I think you've made a great point there. Is it living up to the name? Are you trying to fill those giant shoes that were left for you as the team was just rejuvenated and brought into a brand new light here? But I'm really curious to see, can that team live up to that name once again? Can they find that coveted third win? Or will this be the year that they fall? Two in a row is already an amazing feat, but to find that third truly sets you apart from any other esports organization.
Yeah, absolutely. And while we have a little bit more time to talk about these players, well, we did have some players to look out for. On the
Yeah,
side of Nova, they said Nunu and Beefy, they're duelist players. Those are the ones we should be keeping an eye on, which honestly isn't a surprise because those are usually the ones that pop off the most. So we'll have to see if those two can continue the ways of Nova get that dynasty under wraps. Other side, we already talked about Hinata and Nezuko, the fact that they
yeah.
are twins, but there are two other players that have some history on the side of Madison. Seadog and Menace have actually competed together before in Fortnite. So this is not the first time they've played together. I'm not sure if they were on a team before. It was more like they were competing against each other. That was not clarified, but they know each other very well. They've been doing this for years, and now they have a chance to put a championship on the board, a national championship at that.
Yeah, 100%. And, to be a little bit skeptical, I'm going to be the one to argue Fortnite and Valorant are very, very different games, but there is team synergy in both of them nonetheless. So, like you said, having any kind of esports experience, any kind of team experience with any of your teammates can truly take you a long way, especially if one or both of them kind of fall into the suit or the role of being those IGLs, those in game leaders that can really come to help. If you're used to that person kind of shouting call outs at you, kind of telling you what to do in force rotations, so on and so forth, that can really take a team a long way. And both these teams, it's really interesting, have that dynamic of a duo entering almost as a duo, having that past experience with one other person on the team. I'm curious how far those duos alone can take the other three.
Well, we do know that this first pick is going to be Icebox, which is going to be Madison's pick. This is also a map that they had said earlier that they liked a lot. So not only do they have that synergy of having twins and former players, that's four people, that don't necessarily directly know each other, but they at least know one other person.
Right.
They also have a map pick under their belt that they really wanted. It got through the ban phase. I'm sure they were happy about that. Now we're going to see what they do with it. Another thing they told me is that they prefer attack. So this could be interesting. Icebox, I feel like, is a map that actually is one of the better attack-sided maps as strategies have developed. The Viper Sage strategy, I feel
Yeah.
like on attack, just run onto the point, use the Viper wall to completely cut off sight, and then you use the Sage wall to cut off any way to actually contest the site once it's been planted. It just seems like an easy 1-2 punch, and if you're
Yeah.
already good at attack, this could be a very tricky situation for Nova to overcome.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm almost inclined to disagree with you a little bit, but I would never say it was one or the other. If anything, I think Icebox can definitely fall more toward the middle in terms of who makes that appearance and who kind of finds themselves in a positive situation in terms of a comfortable. Hold on. I'm going to start that thought over. I got a little bit distracted. Team composition is going to make or break if it's attack or defense sided. That's kind of what I was trying to say there, and then I turned it into a ramble. But it's going to come down to, do they play those Vipers? Do they play those Sages? Or is a team going to pick something a little more generally suited for one side versus the other? We see a lot of agent diversity, I'm going to call it here on this one, other than, occasionally that Sage and the Sova. But everybody else, I think, is still in a situation where nobody's concrete on this map quite yet. Viper is getting there, but other than Sage and Sova, it's a real toss-up on what's going to be brought out.
I think if you have an ideal comp, and I'm looking at champions a lot for this, it seems like most teams ran the same thing across the board, and usually that would be a Jet, a Reyna, a Sage, a Viper, and a Sova. So those are usually the comps that you would see. Sometimes you would see a Killjoy being thrown in there instead of a Reyna, but generally not. And I think that is kind of the go-to proposition of what you want for a composition going into that. But Nova's already told me that, for a map like Ascent, which they are favoring, so we'll see if that comes out. I believe that was picked next. They have a composition that they really like for it. So maybe they also have something here on Icebox that's going to be a little bit different, a little bit non-meta is, I guess, the best way to say it. Something that could maybe throw Madison through a loop. Because the compositions, we have an idea of what we think is best, but if you can execute it, then meta means nothing.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. You get to a certain point where meta can be impactful, but when you get players that are specialists for a certain agent or a certain play style, they can shatter the meta like glass. They can truly make a huge impact and a huge difference depending on how well they can utilize those kits. If we look back to right before Breeze was released, we were seeing that with Viper players in particular. That she wasn't really in the meta for the time being, but with those lineups, with those insane plays, they really were able to claw themselves back up into the line of sight. And then Breeze is just an incredible Viper map as well. Icebox was kind of shown to be a great appearance for her as well, and the meta was then formed around it. But as of right now, I'd argue, maybe KO is currently in that position, because especially like you were talking about, we saw that a lot recently, a lot of the pros busting out KO in some very unique situations. Do you think we're going to be seeing a KO on Icebox here?
Not likely. I think Ascent, possibly. Breeze, possibly. I feel like KO and Breach were like kind of the biggest surprises. I was actually not surprised about KO, but Breach particularly was a bigger surprise looking at professional play recently. I don't think we're going to see a Breach just because these teams have been playing for quite a bit and you don't really have time to adjust to a change like that. But KO, I feel like, is definitely a possibility on the later two maps in this series, just because of, I guess, less roofs. That's kind of the biggest thing. He is best when there is more just space in the air. You don't have to worry about your 0-point knife just being flung into a ceiling tile and then you get nothing out of it. And that's really his biggest ability. I mean, he does have flashbangs. He does have a molly as well, but his 0-point is the biggest thing. Being able to silence enemies and their abilities aren't usable and you can detect them. You don't know exact location, but you know someone's in that vicinity. That's such a great way to either deny or initiate a push. And it's just not really great on Icebox is the way it's designed. The second point of Icebox, or I guess point B is what I'm talking about. Yes, that is much more open, but there's still a lot of tall structures that you can kind of get in the way of throwing your 0-point. And then A is just completely indoors. There's so much verticality to it. KO is not nearly as good there. Really, if you're going to play KO on Icebox, it has to be mid.
Yeah. It has to be mid, and like you said, you might be able to force it on B, but there's definitely things that can work better. Sova makes a much better impact there, just in terms of util and kit utilization, because that 0-point blade, like you said, easily his strongest ability in the full kit. I'd say maybe even stronger than his ultimate, which I do think needs a little bit of rework, but it's still a strong one nonetheless. And speaking of reworks, even though they haven't happened yet, a little something, maybe shaking up the meta that I was talking about recently, and hopefully it does, because a very friendly character of mine, maybe getting spiced up a little bit, but enough about that. No one's going to be playing him today, so we don't have to focus on Yoru in the slightest. But I'm a little upset because all of my preferred maps didn't make the cut, being, Bind and Split. They weren't able to make that appearance. As a Raze player, of course, I'm going to like those, but, as the information we got from these teams early on, I knew going into this, we probably weren't going to be seeing them. Icebox and Ascent were our predicted map choices, and the teams followed through to a T, bringing those to an appearance. The third one, if we make it there, is Haven. Now, Haven, the only map in this map pool where my brain kind of goes, oh yeah, Breach totally works. Ascent can be forced Breach, but I think Haven really does work nicely for him, and I learned that a lot over the past, top pro plays, seeing a lot of teams bust out Breach on Haven. If we get there, do you think either of these teams have that already in their back pocket, or do you think that's something we're going to see further down the line?
Don't mean to cut into that, but I do believe Breeze is the third map. I'm just double checking.
Oh, you're right. I'm talking. I'm talking out of nothing.
It would be great to see Haven, though. Honestly, I feel like so.
I think I'm just so used to it. The trifecta: Icebox, Ascent, and Haven.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that is usually the three maps, and it's been interesting to see because I feel like generally Ascent and Bind were kind of the go-to maps, 3 4 months ago, but it's really changed to Icebox and Ascent
Yeah.
are kind of the two go-tos now. Ascent's still in the pool, but Breeze as the third one is kind of a wild card. And the reason I believe it was picked was that it was actually picked by Madison, which is interesting. But both teams said they like Breeze. It was Nova that said they liked Ascent. So each team on their map pick got to choose their preferred map. And then the third one is a map that both teams just happen to like. So I feel like there's no, like, we always talk about advantages, composition advantage. We've already talked enough about that in this pregame segue before we get into the main match. But map compositions, or just map choices, map preference, it's really an equal playing field.
Yeah.
So I think at that point, what else do you look to? And I think one thing we could look to is ranking. Nova does have that slight advantage when it comes to that competitive ranking, all immortal across the board except for one platinum player. Madison, a more of a mixed bag, immortal, diamond, and then also gold. So that that's not too far away from what we're seeing from Nova, but just on paper, Nova looks a little bit stronger.
I wholeheartedly agree. On paper, Nova definitely looks, I mean, they've got, like you said, the Immortals across the board, but I do want to talk about, to devil's advocate this situation. The argument here is that I've seen teams that are, very across the board, like that very grab bag situation that thrive in this team community, in this team setting. Because, sometimes it's a lot harder to have your rank a little stronger when you're solo queuing or duo queuing. You've got a bunch of randoms to play with. But some of these players, and I feel, I'm not playing today, obviously myself included in this kind of argument, is that when we're in this team situation, you're playing with the same 4 people all the time, you really can start punching above your weight a little more often. And we have to assume that was done, right? To get a player here or a team here that has, a gold rank or around there all the way to a grand final shows that, I mean, they're coming in punching way above their weight to make it here.
Yeah, one thing that they did talk about was that their team synergy and chemistry has been a big component for why they found themselves here thus far. And again, this is a brand new program for Madison. They've only been around since this semester. This is a brand new team. Sure, they do have all those connections, but they've never played together like this before. Where Nova, it is also a new team, but they've been here already for a year plus. They've already won. They already have that kind of infrastructure to build a program up. In the meantime, we are going to be taking a quick break. As you see, we have a bit of a ping issue, so we're going to try to figure that out and get back into the action, but don't go anywhere. Map 1 coming up in just a jiffy.
Hey everybody, it's us again. And before we talk about any more Valorant, just, of course, a general thank you. Ping issues are obviously something nobody wants to have, but we've got to get them solved. The players aren't going to have a good time, which means we're not going to have a good time, which means you guys aren't going to have a good time, and that's what we're all about, is having a good time. So we need to wait it out. We think we've got it figured out moving forward. We're going to be jumping into our first map of the evening, Icebox. Jag, before we jump in there, you want to make your predictions here on agent compositions going in?
I said it a little bit earlier, and I think that it's really going to be standard across the board. I feel like there isn't a lot of wiggle room on this map. Yeah. So I do think it's going to be the same comp. I think it's going to be Sage, Sova, Reyna, Jet, as well as a Viper. Now, that I guess the Reyna is the one that could change. It could be another Sentinel. It could be a Killjoy. Maybe a Phoenix could be making an appearance.
That would be something.
Yeah. Yoru would be really cool. I've actually seen Yoru played on Icebox quite a bit, but, before those changes come through that you kind of hinted at, I don't think we're going to be seeing a Yoru any year soon. And well, a Raze is an option that we did not talk about. That is an interesting choice. And usually I would say on a map that has such verticality like Icebox, a Raze could work. But I feel like here, because of all of the ropes that let you get up places, Raze's blast packs really don't give you an advantage height-wise.
Right, 100%. Anywhere you can get with a blast pack, you can normally get without one. On this map in particular, there's a lot of other maps where you can use blast packs to get into places other agents aren't able to access without some kind of teleport or float ability or updraft, so something similar. But on Icebox, I can't think of any spot where you can't get there without a blast pack. A blast pack's just going to get you there faster. And we're going to have to see if this Raze makes an impact as a self-certified Raze player. I'm really curious what this is going to mean for Nova here, because I think she can work out, but I think this is a massive risk to take.
It is, and I think the one place I can think of is maybe on top of the entrance into this spot right here. So I'm not describing it very well, but it's like it's in mid and you go up the ramp and it's enclosed, and yeah, what we're looking at right there. You can actually jump up there as a Jet usually, and I believe you can do it as a Raze as well. You can get a really nice cheeky angle with an operator or something like that. But that's really going to be a Jet play anyway, so I don't think we're going to see that from the Raze. But Nunu is going to be on the attack first. Raze does a lot of splash damage. We'll see if it helps them get the edge early on.
Yeah, this Raze is Courageous choice. It truly is, and I'm curious to see how well it works out. The pistol round I don't think is going to be a great indicator because the only part of her kit you get is, of course, the pinch shells, and then you can get them per eliminations, as race works. 2 elims per grenade there, and it's going to be Nova with a slow approach onto B site here. They've given MCC a lot of time to rotate back around, but it is berry time with that first blood. Menace going to fall early on. 5v4 and a plant spike already. Looking really good for Nova on the startup. There goes 2 more from MCC. Blink and you miss it. Nova finding themselves up 5-2. They've already got that spike down, guaranteed additional credits. If they could flawless this, that is the best possible way to start off the series.
It is indeed, and that was very close there. Beefy almost ends up falling, but still able to live. That is huge. I mean, it's the pistol round, so generally you're going to buy anyway, so if you do die, it doesn't matter too much. But what it means is that there is an extra economy going over to the other side, and Madison has nothing to work with here. So they cannot try to go for a force buy that can catch them off guard. Instead, they're just going to have to save.
Right.
And Nova, really in the driver's seat early on, but like you said, the pistol round isn't going to be a great indicator. This one here, if Madison can, get some picks and take some Spectres off the board, that would be huge.
Yeah, Sea-Dog and Ace here both going for a shorty only. With the Reyna, I'll argue it makes a little bit more sense. The Viper, if she had a Viper spit, sure, I love the idea, but this is a map you're really going to struggle to get up close and personal with other players on, especially when you're the one on defense. When you're waiting for them to come to you, there's not a lot of corners to play around and hide, especially at the level of talent we're playing with right now. People aren't going to be not checking their corners. And right now, it looks like nobody's going to get to do much except Beef. Finding kill after kill, 4 already. If there are 2 flawless, one of them being an ace, I will lose my darn tune mind. But the shorty interrupts it all. The shorty I'm talking so poorly about is going to be ace, able to find a kill, equalizing a wee bit. But no, they are still walking away with that 4-0 advantage.
All right, this is crazy. Beefy, 100 ping, Bladestorm already online, 2 rounds, and that is a
6-1
heroic play there. And here's an interesting thing, though. So, obviously, this is the bonus round. Madison now has a better economy just because of the fact that they've lost 2 rounds in a row. They should be able to buy. And if you're Beefy, you have the Bladestorm, but you're still getting the Vandal here. So now, if you lose this round, it won't be a full buy. That could really hurt the whole team. We'll have to see how this works out.
6-1, feeling confident, right? I mean, you've only died a single time across 2 rounds. Your team's won both of them with a pretty aggressive fashion, right? Only 1 elim across 10 possible on the board. It's going to be up to Nova here to really make a difference. If they win this round, they, of course, beat that statistical expectation of losing what is supposed to be MCC's bonus round. But this is confusing. To buy the Vandal and then also pop your Bladestorm is a courageous choice. An interesting play there to drop the Vandal down to Nunu, who's, of course, rocking that raise, but you've lost your Sage. I mean, a lot of this has fallen apart very early on, and Nova, they're going to have to make some waves here in round 3 to turn this around.
It was to a snake bite too, so they just weren't able to get out of location. Madison, their Viper tried going for that play multiple times, and that's another snake bite kill.
2 in the same round, nonetheless. That is going to be shocking, to say the least. You don't see those very often, but for MCC to pick up 2 in 1 round is huge. Nova, they are going to unfortunately lose that round, but that is one they are statistically expected to lose. So now MCC might be able to tie things up 2-2, and after that, that's where the gloves truly come off. Everybody should be around that full buy potential, except, albeit Beefy, and then that's where the game can truly begin. We're going to have to see if Nova can win this round, put themselves up 3-1, or if MCC is already going to come back strong.
Here's the interesting thing, because they had 2 people live on the side of Nova despite the round loss, despite the defuse. You see Berry Time gonna have to just stick with their Spectre. There was a bit of a Frankenstein buy, 2 SMGs and 3 assault rifles, so that's not terrible, but you are at a slight disadvantage.
That just a slight disadvantage can make all the difference at the end of the day. It truly can. You can come down to a 1v1 and a Vandal beats the Spectre almost every time, right? Unless you, of course, have the element of surprise. Menace got into a pseudo firefight early on. We saw a bit of a raise pre-fire, which were they still standing there, they would have died, but lucky enough they had just turned that corner back around. This is the first round. I've got to say it feels like Nova's really taking their time on the approach because they learned last round if they overextend when they're at a weapons disadvantage or even an equal weapons is not something they can do. They can't just hold W and pray for the best.
One thing to note is that even though they do get out of that engagement, they use the tailwind, the dash, really, really early on. So that's something that's not going to be available unless they get to eliminations for the reset. That's a lot of utility gone early if you're a Jet.
Yeah, 100%. That dash is kind of her back pocket, her wild card ability, if you will. You know, it helps her get out of engagements very quickly. That is what makes her so important. Is why Jets play with operators all the time, because that dash is a blink and you miss it moment. But to lose it so early can really hurt your kit. You're 100% right there, Jack. Nova, they find themselves up 5-4. No ultimates across the board, of course. We're only somewhere around that 4th round, but Wilts is going to be able to find Sea-Dog, making this lead even larger for Nova. However, I've seen teams lose crazier things, so as long as they play their cards right, MCC stays alive. The Twins right now are the only 2 left alive. Hinata and Nezuko trying to make some waves here. Hinata finds another one, but they both go down, and Nova going to win that 3rd round, put themselves up 3-1 on the game so far.
And right now, it feels like a game of cat and mouse. What you keep seeing from Madison is that they give up the point for the most part, and they play right near the plant site. So the point itself is very, very big on B. The plant area is a bit smaller because it's 2 floors. And they think that they can play on the box, that they have that kind of angle, but there's just so much utility that's being thrown out by Nova, especially with the poison orb. That's a one-way that's going to be their advantage every time. There's no vision, and then by the time that finally Madison can recontest that, it's just a full setup from Nova. There's nothing you can do. Everyone is there.
Maybe the first actual A push we get, and it's already working out quite well for Nova. We see Menace go down very early on, 1 Jet, of course, dismissing another, and that's going to give Nova a great opportunity to just walk into sight. They're going to be able to get that spike plant down most likely, and they've already forced MCC into not only a retake, but one with a player disadvantage, which is, of course, going to make that all the harder. However, if MCC can find even a single 1-tap, that obviously equalizes things here. Beefy gets the high ground advantage, and there goes the Viper, who's down next. Gonna have to dash out of that engagement. Around the corner of the stage is Hungry Sea-Dog, though, with the kill. Takes out Beefy. The first Phantom kill, I believe, we've seen so far. 4v3, still winnable across the board, but Sea-Dog a little too overcourageous there. Gets caught in a 1v3 crossfire. Nunu finds Hinata and Nezuko. She is trapped in this corner. Will go down to Nunu once again. Nova, they're going up 4-1.
Yeah, told you, this is an attacker-sided map. I'm telling you, man, you gotta listen to me more. It never was in the past, and just composition that we saw Nova roll out with, I mean, the Raze, again, different than the Reyna, not what we were expecting, but in general, the way you can execute a plant and then just have an amazing post-plant setup, it's so hard to counter if you are on the side of Madison, especially with their economy not doing nearly as well. There, they went for a bit of a force fight. You saw a few Spectres. Because of that, they got nothing to work with this round. Gonna have to go for a full save. Maybe some of those shorties coming out. It seems like a Sheriff or 2, a Ghost. So they are spending a little bit, but on the other side, Nova, they've got a whole bank to work with right now.
Yeah, and to think that Nova, I mean, their ping seems to be a little bit all over the place right now. I think one of them, I think Beefy is one of the ones that has touched over triple digits so far into this. Still, Nova is tearing it up. You've got to think, is this almost something that is, you know, something that MCC might be glad is happening? However, Nova's just not letting it make any kind of performance in their time here on Icebox. They are just storming through a 5v2 already. I make one comment about ping, and the round is already half over. Ace picks up Beefy, but a Ghost is not going to help you drop an Ace here when they've got full rifles across the board. Wilts finds Sea-Dog. You've picked up a Vandal. You've got to land 4 1-taps in the spike. She's already ticking. You're almost out of time already. You've got to just engage. You either go for the save or you go to be that hero.
You have your ultimate. You have your Viper's pit ready to go, but the spike's already down. There's really no way you can use this advantageously. You're at an advantage when or disadvantage when it comes to armor. Everyone knows where you are. You don't reload your gun.
Yeah, I was gonna
bullets
say
in that when it started. And unfortunately, there you lose the firefight. They do take one out. They take out Beefy, but Nova only 1 round away now from at least a guaranteed draw. The good news for Madison is they can buy up here. They can get an operator online. Beefy says, maybe I'll try that myself. We'll see if that buy does come through. It looks like they're thinking about it. Get bought for instead, so this might be just that they are saving for potential rounds to come.
Yeah, but I want to point out, sorry, really quickly, Wilts hasn't died. They're only 3-0, but the fact that we're on round 7 and they haven't died, that is absurd.
Yeah, that's insane. They do end up getting the operator, by the way, so we could see an operator duel come out eventually. Both of the Jets are looking towards A, and look how aggressive Menace is pushing this.
Holy cow, Menace, that is such a risky thing to do. I mean, you get 1 tap of the Vandal, of course the op gets harder to use the closer you are to your opponent, because you know you have to you might have to no scope, you don't have time to just aim down sights. Just any sort of that situation. That is bold. I don't know. We're gonna call it bold. It might have just been dumb, but they didn't pay the price of their life for it. So you know it doesn't seem to be hurting anybody quite yet. But they do that later on. You know, if Nova takes an A push and there's a Jet standing there with an operator 5 feet away, the odds of her winning that firefight are very low. And speaking of Jets winning firefights with operators, Beefy's going to show us the range one should be used at. A's taking a bit of damage from those paint shells as well. That clears enough space for Nova to plant. 5v4. I mean, one of the duelists already gone from MCC. This is going to be really tough to turn around.
This is the exact same setup I was talking about before. This is the exact thing that happens every time. Ace holds the box, is able to get some utility down, but the wall comes up, the poison orb comes up, the Viper's wall comes up, everything is cut off, nothing actually works out for Ace, unfortunately.
Oh!
For defuse.
Menace, great timing there, great trigger discipline, but you're still looking at a 4v1. You've got a Blade Storm, you've got an op. I truly think you go for a save here. Being the hero to give up an operator in a time like this would not necessarily be the play, in my opinion. I think it's better to, just get out of dodge when you can.
Yeah, gonna be able to keep that operator. No one's even close to them. You saw that everyone from Nova hightailed it. And it's like a consolation prize in that regard. You win the Jet duel, you get the Jet diff, but everyone else on your team falls instantaneously after that. So while you keep the operator, no one else can buy. We talk about this a lot in Valorant. When this snowball begins, when you just cannot stabilize your economy, it becomes so hard to recover. That operator, it could be enough to actually win them around in a thrifty fashion, especially if they're able to pick up guns that are dropped by their opponents if Nova does lose those battles out. But other than that, you're not looking at a lot, and it looks like they're not even going to try forcing it here. They're going to go for mostly sidearms.
Beefy is currently at 124 ping. That is the ping that I caught before we started this round. We're going to assume that's the ping they stay at for majority of the round. They're about to walk into an op firefight. Currently top frag in lobby with 12 eliminations. I think next was either 6 or 7. So right now it is just this Jet making a world of difference. And duelists, of course, that is their role, in a game like Valorant, is to be the one to make the difference. And Nezuko going down, that takes Resurrection offline. It takes any form of heal, the slows, all of it gone. 5v4. MCC, they've got a very mild ult advantage, but we're getting to a point where I feel like we're looking at a bit of a sunken costs fallacy. They've been sitting on a few of these ults for a couple of rounds, and I think committing them truly would do nothing but help you.
Yeah, but again, it's a gun disadvantage, so it's like, is it even worth it? Because you're right, they should have used them probably last round, but that firefight happened so quickly that there really isn't anything you could do once 4 immediately fall on your side. And what ultimates would you even use here? Hunter's Fury, probably the best one at this rate, or a Viper's Pit.
The Viper's Pit would be surprising.
Yeah, it would be like a pre-plant decision just to completely cut off 1 point. Or it's too late, they're giving it up. They do get 1 back, though. Yeah,
Barry just out in the open there. Quadruple crossfire, nowhere to run.
Empress.
There's the Empress. Okay, so that's actually not what I was expecting to see. I thought we'd see the Hunter's Fury or the Blade Storm with Viper's Pit being like a podium, a 3rd place spot there. But it looks like, I mean, Ace is really trying to hold down base here. 21 HP to Green. Goes for the false defuse, but you're 21 HP, you've got a ghost to your name. That's not a round you're going to be able to win, right? But now, looking at this, MCC should be able to buy. That's a big question mark. It's going to be close, but I think everybody gets a full buy-in. So do they use ultimates here, Jack? You didn't seem sold on that last round. What about this one?
Absolutely, and I think the Empress is not too big of an ultimate to use and not get value out of, because it's just Reyna in Super Saiyan form. I wouldn't even say that. It's more like, I don't remember.
Reyna slightly angrier.
Yeah, it's just a slightly angrier version of her. A Kaioken, I guess. I think that's what I'm thinking of. But, you know, it just helps enhance her abilities a little bit better. Everyone else really could have a huge impact with their ultimates. You got to open things up. I think a Viper's Pit early could be huge just to cut off a point.
Oh boy.
And now you might have to be using the res, but the stage is all the way at B. You see them on the menu after trying to rotate, but by the time they get there...
Oh boy! Oh, no. It's just duelist ultimates like nobody's business. Hinata able to find both Vank and Beefy, so that's a Blade Storm down the drain for Nova. Now, that's Beefy's 2nd Blade Storm to get no value, but that's 2 in the time MCC hasn't used 1, I believe. So that just goes to show difference in terms of ultimate usage and economy differential that Nova has really been using to walk away with a lot of round wins. 3v3, but okay, 4v3, and Nunu is at, what was that, 7 HP? I believe last week we were over there, so very, no way! That's the third one we've seen in this game alone. Menace takes out Nunu with that spray and pray. Took, a fraction of a bullet. And there's the Hunter's Fury. Jack, this is your favorite play.
It is. It's very, very smart. It's going to be on the point, but the wall is there. Might be enough time.
They've got it. Yep. That was honestly very smart. Dodge 2. They knew they couldn't die to anything else, and to transfer that Sang over from the CS:GO world. Pros don't fake, and that was super smart. They knew the wall was there. They knew the Hunter's Fury couldn't kill. That was all it took. MCC, they put their second round on the board. This is their time to continue moving forward. Wilt entering round 10, still deathless, and I'm starting to think they're doing it on purpose. I'm starting to think they're playing slow and safe, just trying to keep that at a 0 as long as they possibly can.
Absolutely could be that time they get to live their ultimate, almost save the round. But like you said, it was a, we're going to hit the person defusing it, but they get it to half, and then another person comes in onto the spike, and you can't kill them with the last strike. So great team play there. Still deathless, and Beefy can't say the same.
Oh!
Menace not going to get out.
Wouldn't be a jet clip without somebody dashing straight into a wall. I say it every time, and I mean it every time. Every time jets pop off like that, they dash into a wall straight after, and it usually gets them killed just like that. A 4v4 now. That resurrection from the side of Nova, I think that's a great time to use it. You've swapped the numbers back, for the time they were in your favor. You lose one immediately after, but that's okay, because even if you lose this round, you're still up by 4, and you've got a guaranteed advantage going into halftime.
And they're doing exactly what I would think of right here. You've made a lot of presence at B. You're going to leave someone there for the rotation just in case, but A is wide open. You do see that the Sovan side of Madison, thinking about it, the Wolfpack, though, for the most part, is just hanging back. So this could be huge, but no, actually, it's going to be a fake. And that might be enough time now to get them on the rotation to A. No, they're going to hold mid more. So it feels like a mental game right now. Nova, they thought that they were psyching out Madison, but they might be psyching themselves out. A is completely open. If they had committed to it, that'd be a free plant. But this indecision, this time,
30 seconds left.
Is just, now they're down to 30 seconds. Also, the bomb buddy was already used. I'm pretty sure Sea-Dog saw that, so they're gonna know there's someone around there too.
It's a quadruple fake. It was really only one fake. They just stood and spawned for 40 seconds, and then they decided to walk back to B site. But I'm not particularly fond of this approach. I think they really, like you said, I think they psyched themselves out more than anything. And Wilds, unfortunately, dies for the first time in that 10th round. We truly got to a moment where Nova, I think you're completely right. They faked themselves out, because when you're faking out the enemy team, you often don't know where they are. You don't know if they fell for your fake or not.
Rest in peace, Wilds. The one death, unfortunate. Yeah, I mean, it just took too long, and you have to be decisive in that scenario. I think the call was originally, we're just going to wait this out and then go back to B, but that was the wrong call, and they can't know that.
Right.
But in that situation, you got to take a few more risks. This is where things get a little bit dicey for them. Their economy is now starting to fall apart. I mean, especially Nunu. Only 800 credits. They lose this round. They're not going to be able to full buy. And sure, you have that guaranteed lead, but we know how fast that can fall apart.
Oh, speaking of things falling apart, that's going to be Beefy going down early. Second round in a row, Menace is able to find that insta-kill, and of course, Nova doesn't have that res for this round. 5v4 in favor of MCC, and I've got to say, it feels like it took them a while. It took them a long time, but they've definitely found their footing. They're starting to engage a little more consistently. But committing a Viper's Pit in a 3v5, I'm not particularly fond of, but I think if you're going to turn a fight around, that's a good way to start.
It's the same play every time. Just slam B with this wall. They're aware of this now.
Spike down.
Yeah, there's proof in the pudding. They just sprayed because they knew they were going to be there. No way.
One enemy remaining.
Oh, man. Yeah, now it's just a firing squad in favor of MCC. And I think you were spot on, Jack. It's Nova running the exact same strategy to the point where they just got to spray into the cloud because they knew someone was probably going to be right there.
Yeah, they knew exactly where it was going to be. That wall did give them a little bit of protection on the side of Nova, but all good things come to an end. That wall was not going to last too long. Now we're seeing that Ace's lineups with their own snake bites, with their own poison orb, they're starting to pay off here because they know what's going on. They've read this book enough times to figure out exactly how this is going to develop. Now the question is for Nova, can they flip the script? This is going to be their last full buy, I think, of the half, looking at, so they lose this round. There's no way they can get it next time, and it could be 5-7 after what was a 7-2 lead.
Yeah, a 7-2 lead. If that turns into a 5-7, which is looking mighty, mighty likely, that is going to be the best case scenario for MCC. This is their, this is always confusing to say, their best worst case scenario. I mean, they could have been looking a 10-2 in the face, but if they're able to clutch it back to a 7-5, they win the next pistol round. They tie things up 7-7, assuming they win that second round as well. could be huge. It really could. But MCC, they've got to win this one first. They've got the numbers advantage, but I've seen teams lose more favorable situations. So they really cannot overcommit here.
And the situation is the same as last time. Do you go for the fake, go back to A, or do you stay here? It looks like they're just playing basically for picks. I think they're looking for default at this point. They're not even going to try to go onto a point. They're trying to find something mid. Hanada able to get out. And you've got nothing. You just, time is off the clock. You've lost 2. There's not even a plant. There's nothing really you can do here. You can see the play style has slowed down so much for Nova,
and they don't like
it. Because of that, they're just losing so many on entry.
Yeah, absolutely. You can tell this isn't their play style because they're really falling into the clutches of MCC. Nezuko in particular, the last couple of rounds has been, I mean, just kill after kill there. Hanada gonna miss it. Barry picks up 1, 31 HP in a dream, but Sea-Dog puts that Viper down. 5-7 halftime. MCC, they've made the best of a worse situation. Jack, like you said, this was 7-2 at one point, and they have brought it all the way back to a 7-5. If MCC wins this pistol round, they're projected to win the following, and they can tie things up 7-7.
And all it took was that one round where they tried going to A. Nova, they had a good setup, but they lost 2 in the engagement. They also used the Blade Storm as well as the Showstopper. And I think because they used those 2 ultimates, they thought, you know, like, we don't really need to play as tight as we normally do. But instead, they lost the Blade Storm. The Showstopper does find one back. It does equalize things, but their post plane is not going to be nearly as strong. That Hunter's Fury wasn't enough, and after that, you could just see that they lost momentum. It was 4 rounds in a row there at the very end to bring it to the score we're at now. But all things are reset, all economies are back to normal, and now Madison have their chance on attack.
I like Madison's play here to go to B because every time I play this game, I feel like everybody always goes to A on the pistol round. It doesn't even matter what map it is. I feel like that's always what happens. So you see them already changing things a little bit, but we've already known that Nova favors this B site, right? So for MCC to push into them, for Madison to try and engage here is a risky thing to do. A little bit of damage from a great shock dart there on the side of Nova has put this ever so slightly in their favor, but it is the pistol round, so this can very clearly still go either way. Nezuko going for the spike plant. Nothing happening off the back of it quite yet, but you know, even if they find that spike plant, those guaranteed credits in the following round can change the rest of this game. Beefy with that first blood onto Sea-Dog once again. Sea-Dog the first to go down, and the spike plant next to go down. 5v4 is not going to be around for long, though, as it turns into a 4v3 in favor of Nova. But I'd say just barely. That Viper gets healed back up just as the stage goes down. And Nunu picking up a double is up to Ace here. They've been in this position so many times, but with a pistol like that, there's nowhere to run. That is a 3K for Nunu and an 8th round win for Nova.
It was really interesting for Ace there. You know, they were the one that were holding the site down on defense the entirety of that side before the swap. And this time they're on the rotation. They're holding down the flank. How many times do you see someone flank on a pistol round? It's not impossible, but it's very unlikely. At a pistol round, it's almost always we're just going to stack up on each other and hope for the best because you don't have range, you don't have rate of fire, you really don't have much of anything. It's really just like we're going to hope that we can all shoot the same person and then immediately spray transfer. So an interesting decision there to try to see if there's a flank. Ends up not working out, and that's something that I feel like Madison really could have used Ace's presence on the point, not only for utility, but for the fact that they are tied as the top fragger currently on their side.
Yeah, and it's funny because Ace somehow is always the last person left alive on the side of Madison there. And I'm not going to say, you know, not literally always, but I feel like every time we get into a XV1 situation, the 1 is always Ace. So I'm curious if that comes to the play style or if that just comes with rotations that these teams have kind of been bringing out. And speaking of Ace, they've got some presence here on mid, but the Sage Wall is obviously going to make it impossible to go through there for the time being. And Ace really just holding this mid site. It looks like Madison's looking for a mid push, but to go around that wall with a weapons disadvantage, you're just lining yourselves up for disasters. So if anything else, I think rotating to a different site is the play here. And it looks like they're going to do just that, rotating toward A.
I did commit a little bit. It was just a light buy, mostly some sheriff. So this peek though, oh, Madison going to take a little bit of chip damage. So you know there's someone on A, not super surprising. And like you said, because they can't play for mid, they're not exactly sure what to do right now. Now, if they're able to take out this Sage, that would be huge. And Ace does have a great angle on boxes, but immediately gives it up. A little bit of a sound cue. You saw Wiltz there just trying to go for the jiggle peek. It looks like with 30 seconds, they are going to commit to this B site, but I mean, you can see already the Viper on the side of Nova is there to hold down. And this recon bolt's gonna give it away. Yeah, they know that
almost
it's on.
Full, yeah, almost a full rotate coming through because Madison took a little bit too long, and that gave Nova plenty of time to get almost all of their agents back on board. Currently a 3v5, but of course Madison doesn't know that. Turns into a 2v5, turns into a 2v4. BB able to find Sea-Dog here, and it looks like all the teams are about to be coming out in full swing. The remaining members of Nova have officially finished their rotation from A to B. A 4v4 to the highest degree, a lot of damage dealt on both sides. I truly think it may come down to that next elimination of which team's going to be able to win this one. And as I say, if BP picks up not 1 or 2, maybe 3, but they're looking for that ace. Oh! The lineups just barely not paying off. Ace literally 65 HP away from a 2-second 4-man clutch to win the round. Just as close can be, but close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
And again, what if Ace was there? It was
exactly
a closer hold this time. It was in the room near B defender side instead of all the way back in spawn, but it was still a rotation they had to make. Great utilities there. I think there was 1 or 2 snakebite kills there, and then, like you said, everyone just kind of lined up on the side of Nova because they were in time. They weren't able to get the fight against Bullets that they wanted. Bullets was already in position, was ready to go, and they'd caught them off guard when trying to go for that defuse. That could have been an amazing thrift round, but instead it's going to be Madison now playing for the bonus. They do have much better weaponry, so they should be able to win this one out.
Yeah, and some players have good taste. Wilt's there, rocking the Mage Punk. BP rocking the entirety of Madison right now, able to find a 2K with the Blade Storm. I think, yeah, like almost a 3. Menace down to 15 HP, so Nova there in an unbelievably strong position to win this round. A round they are projected to lose, and if they win this one, it really messes up the economy of Madison moving forward. It passes over 1 round, usually guaranteed, perhaps a 2nd round afterward as well, but it's truly going to come down to what can Ace once again and Sea-Dog do to try to save this round, because right now they are not in a good spot.
I think if Nova win this one, they almost guarantee to ice this game, no pun intended, because the economy for Madison going forward is just not going to be in a good spot. They might be able to buy once Nova is up 11-5 at that rate, but it's going to be so late, and the snowball effect's already going to come through. They're going to have a very hero round. I think the biggest thing for Nova right now is that they know they don't have to be aggressive because they have a huge advantage numbers-wise, and they can just wait for this, but again, it's still gun disadvantage.
Oh,
30 seconds
speaking of gun disadvantage, Ace there able to take out BP with the Vandal. Nunu picks up a counter kill, so that leaves Nova, double what MCC has. Nunu goes down, but who even cares? They take everybody out on their way out the door. Another bite kill, but the snake bite comes out a little too late. Nunu picks up 2, and that's all it took. Nova, they've hit double digits, and Jag, I think you're spot on. I just don't think there's enough time for Madison to turn this one around.
And Nunu there, you do end up falling, and yeah, your KDA becomes a little bit less, positive overall, but it actually helps you economy-wise. You get more credits for dying, you get a double kill, you only had a sheriff anyway. I mean, maybe you could pick up a gun off the ground there if you lived, and then you don't have to spend it again, but it's a really good situation to die in or be eliminated in. Great hero play there, just a great round overall by the duelists on the side of Nova, and now they're in double digits.
Those double digits are roughly that time where I think in this situation in particular, Madison's got to hit that panic button, just like Sea-Dog's hitting the floor there. Very time with a great rotation around boxes, very slow, and Sea-Dog was just unfortunately looking the wrong way. That leaves Madison in a really tough spot to turn this around. It's not impossible, but by golly, it's difficult, man. Menace goes up and over, but dashes right back out of there because they need to make sure they don't lose that 1v1 with only a sheriff to their name. Barry's got a little more intel, but only saw 1, not quite the 3 that are waiting. Silva goes low, but no kills coming out quite yet.
There is a bit of a rotation, so they're not alone anymore. We can see everyone on the side right now of Nova is starting to push up mid more towards B, which might give Menace an opening. Is Nunu there? So it's not going to be great. This round feels like a wash already, honestly.
It does.
For Madison. They're just looking for exit frags. They do get a trade, but it's a 2 for 1. 2 for 2, actually.
That's kind of huge.
Where's the spike?
Great question. It looks like Nezuko has it for the time being, and once again, the Twins are the last ones left alive. Not a Nezuko with the opportunity to succeed. I'm not sure they're going to be able to find it. It's up to Nezuko once again, and she doesn't even get the opportunity to fire the weapon. Vank puts her down, and Nova, they're up 11-5. They're 2 rounds away from sweeping Icebox here. I'm thinking, Madison, they have to win this round, obviously, because if they lose this one, it's going to crumble underneath them. But right now, MCC, they are in an incredibly tough spot. They've got 1 ultimate to their name, and this is, theoretically their final round.
They have to use the Viper's Pit here. They have to use it aggressively. They have to use it early. So whether it's A or B, you run on, you put it down, you get the spike plant, and then you play around that. That you do have a showstopper on their side that could put an end to that party, but you have to go for it here. That's the angle I was talking about, by the way, with the Jet, and immediately Menace just pays for it. Wilts blows them up, and already at a disadvantage, a two-person disadvantage. This round they needed to win. It is not looking good for them, Sepsilence.
It's not looking good in the slightest. And remind me when this map is over, if you happen to not forget, I want to talk about Nunu in particular a little bit, but let's get to that at the end of the map. I mean, MCC, Madison, they're going for like a pseudo rotation. They go to grab the orb, which makes sense because they can res. I don't remember who just died. I believe there's the Reyna. Yeah, so Sea-Dog back to life. Sea-Dog also bottom frag though, so this is really going to have to be their wake-up moment to help this team stay alive here on Icebox.
You know, it's not the last round, but that's what it kind of feels like, right? Because
Right,
of the
absolutely.
situation they're in. It's only one now that they're down, but it's still a very big deficit. They're going to go for this spike plant. They haven't used the Viper's Pit. This is really interesting, but Barry just walks in.
That may be the first instance of a ping issue we've seen. Perhaps could have been a misplay as well from Barry, but either way, it hurts. Now we're tied. Something that originally Nova had a 2-player advantage. Now it turns to nil. Nothing extra across the board. Maybe a bit of a fire rate advantage if you want to include this operator. Obviously, does more damage, but Beefy's got to be hitting those shots, so a little bit of back and forth to that. The Viper's Pit makes an appearance. Beefy with a literal just blind fire shot finds Sea-Dog. Nezuko falls. Hanada the next to go, and Nova, they're winning their 12th round. Madison backs against the wall, and I hate to say it, they're already 1 foot in the grave here.
Team Ace, very, very cool. We always talk about this. And
Yes,
Ace is always more exciting to watch, but a Team Ace is just everyone gets one kill. It's so much more exciting, I think, from a team plays perspective, but
Yeah.
maybe not as exciting to watch it unfold regardless. I said that Ace had to use the Viper's Pit, but they used it so late. Even when they're going for the plant, you do have the Poison Orb that's going to block off, you know, information. So maybe they felt secure enough on that. But the way they played that, the way they backed all the way back up, and then they used the Viper's Pit, like, you got to play in the smoke of that. That's how that works.
Absolutely.
You cannot play far away. So a bit of a disentangled approach for the post-plant scenario, at least to a loss. Now, Madison, they're gonna have to force by here. They gotta spend everything they have to stay alive.
That's something we gotta teach the Vipers in my ranked game. Stop ulting and walking away. You gotta stop doing that. But for some reason, it happens occasionally, and you know it may have worked out well. Their Ace barely even made it out of the smoke before they went down, but of course, when the Viper falls, so does the pit. Nova, they're in a situation where they're at a player disadvantage for the first time in a long time. Sea-Dog pops that Empress, gets an immediate kill onto Wilts there, and if Beefy ties things up here, that would obviously be huge for Nova, but Beefy, I'm confident to say overextending a wee bit. There's a chance they get caught in kind of a triple line of fire here.
Some of their tailwind, but yeah, it's gonna be really hard to get out of that. They're gonna walk forward, doesn't take out the Empress. It's looking so good for Madison, only 2 people left.
Oh no. Oh! How did he miss? Beefy must have been moving there. Hello?
Well,
You know what? We said it needed to happen. Sounds like they heard us. Sea-Dog in particular there, I think doubling their KD in that round alone.
Yeah, struggling on this Reyna, which, you know, you and I had talked up as kind of the best choice for duelist here. Nunu, as you said, we gotta talk about that. Really making this raise work. We'll talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, we'll talk about that after. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if it works, right? And it is in this scenario. They do lose that round. It is a lifeline on the side of Madison. It's also an operator going to their hand.
Oh boy!
The very time I'm gonna go for a very aggressive Viper's Pit.
And the spray and pray. Oh, that just doesn't work out. Barry goes for a hero play and just folds like a lawn chair under the pressure. Nezuko able to find Nunu as well. 5v3 for Madison. This is what they needed. A bit of an overcommitment from Nova, and they are starting to fall like a Jenga tower. Beefy picks up C-Dub. You've got to find one more to equalize. Can Nova make the best of a bad situation? These next couple of bullets are going to let us know.
3v4.
Last player standing.
Oh, they didn't
Whoa!
see it. Zuko gets 2. What?
Oh, Nezuko finding 2 eliminations there is... I don't even want to call it pivotal. I think they were going to win this round either way, but still huge. Nonetheless, she finds 2 eliminations, and it's up to Wilts, who is no longer deathless, unfortunately, as funny as that was. But Wilts, time to be a hero, my friend. 150 HP in a dream, finds 1. Will not find any more. Going down. Madison, they are back in this. They just have to do it 5 more times to force an overtime. Is that all?
Sounds... It sounds really hard in perspective, but when you look at the economy now, I think this might have to be a safe round from Nova. So they're 1 round away from winning. Let's see how it goes. It looks like it's a bit, yeah, it's a bit of a force buy here. This is really interesting. I think the plan is really Wilt and Vank, they can buy again, so it doesn't matter if they buy here, but this is economy they could use, you know, going forward. 5 rounds sounds like a nice enough buffer. It's really not that much, and we've already seen that Madison, when they get going, they don't stop.
Right, that's how they make it here, right? This is a team that when they get even, you give them an inch and they take 10 miles. They will tear you apart if you let your guard down. And right now, I'm not going to say Nova's let their guard down, but they're really starting to fall just a little bit. Madison here is really looking good. They find 1 kill. Sea-Dog, what? No shot. A literal 1-shot through a smoke, nonetheless, into the dome of a Viper. Beefy, though, the equalizer this team needs right now. The Bladestorm picks up 2. Of course, it recharges on any kill that is not a right click. And this is such a scary moment for Madison. They had an aggressive lead. They had to give it up. And not against the spike. Is this a fake around to A? And oh, the Bladestorm down. Things are going a lot more bleak for Nova here. It is up to Nunu and Wilt here to save the day. 2 ultimates on the side of Madison.
It's a big thing. Hunter's Fury, we always know it's a great way to stop defuse. That ultimate is still online. They get plants down. Hana's got to be really careful. You got to back out. You got to live. You got to be the last person standing, really, in this sort of scenario.
I think at this point, you go full-blown defense. You get behind those boxes and wait for that defuse sound because the Hunter's Fury will buy you more time. And as long as your teammates are around to distract, putting yourself in the line of fire, especially when your ultimate's kind of the quote-unquote win condition, is super important. So I think, I think Wilt's. Yeah, okay, they did exactly what I wanted, actually. I got my Sovas mixed up there for a second, but Inanna did exactly what I needed. Played around those boxes, played slow, and people came in, and you just clicked heads when you needed to most. I'm almost losing my train of thought because I'm so impressed with Madison's ability to turn this around 3 rounds in a row. They've got to do it 4 more times, though, and realistically, you know, even Rome fell at one point, you know what I mean? So Madison, they have to really just pull out all the stops. They cannot make a single mistake.
And who is target numero uno in this scenario? It's going to be Vank, because Vank has 100%. That resurrection online. You take that off the board, you get an advantage early. You can just keep rolling with that. So that's going to be probably who they're going to be looking for if they find them out. Got to get that Sage down. Other than that, they've been playing really, really well on B, but this looks like an A-site push.
A-site? I forgot what it looked like. We have not been here in a while, but I'm glad we're finally making an appearance once again. Nezuko, though, with that first elimination on a Barry, who perhaps played a little bit too far forward. Once again, we see Vank tucking tail, trying to get out of dodge, and a Hunter's Fury now from Nova. I'm not completely sure why, but all right, never mind. It finds Nezuko. Wilt's able to equalize things. That's the wrong Sage we were looking for, and a Sage falling, nonetheless, is insanely important. Menace takes out Nunu, giving Madison that 1-player lead once again, but Wilt, the equalizer this team needs, 3-3 matchup. The next elimination may very well be the one to turn the tide. Menace finds 1, Menace finds 2, the 3rd of the round, and there it is! Menace with the Operator 4K to just put Nova back in their place. They have finally woken up here. They have shown how they earned their spot in these grand finals, and Madison, they have turned Icebox into a true map.
Yeah, and it looks like it's going to be double digits for them, unless, nope, over here, it looks like they're trying to force buy again, so... Oh, I don't like this. It could work, but I like Barry's judge. Like it.
Because Barry keeps playing up close and personal. I think the judge may be your best bet, honestly, if they choose to continue that play style. But I have to agree, I'm particularly almost never fond of force buying because statistically there's an opportunity to turn it around. If you just play your hand the way you're supposed to, you'll have the chance to turn it around. And Nova, force buying this one, if they lose this round, they're handing statistically 2 more to Madison, and that ties us up.
And here's the thing, is that you're guaranteed overtime at this point, so Nova, you're not at a risk to lose this game in regulation, but you are just giving rounds away for free at that rate. Like, these are, you know, you could lose this round, and that's okay, and then you're, you know, next round you're on equal footing. Here, it's just a 2-for-1 special.
Nunu's blast packs there, that is certainly a choice to be made. Blast packs do not do a lot of damage, but I think it's hysterical when we do get kills with them. I try for it all the time. And Madison now, they're up 4-2. A little bit of damage taken, but even if they lose that Sova, they've still got a full player on site. And I think they're about to lose that Sova as Barry is sneaking his way through the back line. Oh, Hinata, though, I thought it was a shotgun for a moment. It is a Phantom, so he will 100% lose that firefight unless he one-taps the dome. Barry has no armor, so there's a chance you can find that one shot, 1 kill. Oh, Wilt. 30 HP, a Sheriff to his name. I don't see a way Nova wins this one. It is up to Barry, a judge, 100 HP in a dream. Do you go for a save? Do you even save a judge? Is it worth it?
Nah, definitely not. But you get an exit kill on the way out like that. Maybe another one that
No
could
way!
be huge. That's 2.
One enemy remaining.
No way!
But it's not enough time.
But that's
still
the
3.
best way to lose a round.
It is. It digs into the economy of Madison, and things have completely flip-flopped. Madison
Didn't get the
at
one thing you
point
needed, though.
you were struggling at one point if you're Madison to get any sort of resemblance of economy healthy.
Right.
Here, you're in a great spot. You can still buy another operator, and everyone is still good to buy on your side. Nova, you are able to get a buy here, but this is your last buy. We talked about this before. This is like a must-win scenario for Madison. They were able to do it. They were able to get double-digit wins on the board. They're able to make this 10-12. Now Nova, if they want to win this cleanly, it has to be here.
These are my favorite types of plays. My hat off to Menace for going for it, but you know, unfortunately nobody was there for the lineup. They bring the op back out. Oh, actually, I didn't realize they found purchase with a couple of those blades. Could have been huge, but Vank was there to heal up. Both Sages have that res online, the most powerful, impactful ultimate in the game, and it truly is going to come down to that first elim once again, and whether or not they're in a position to be rezzed. Vank finds Nezuko. Nezuko obviously cannot be rezzed. 5v4 in favor of Nova. Sea-Dog has to pop that Empress, trying to force a little bit more from Nova here, but Madison, they're in a rough spot. The claw back this close. It's going to be on the shoulders of Menace, who has been doing the absolute most to keep this series alive so far, and they are ripping Nova apart. Once again, the Viper falls, and what happened? Who is this?
This is Madison, the Wolf Pack. They are back, and it looks like they're about to tie things up.
More?
Nova now, they're going to have to force buy. It's a much worse force buy than what we saw from Madison.
Uh-oh.
This is now, I'm trying to do math. That's 6 rounds in a row. That's Madison, 6
I think
rounds.
it's about to be 7.
Yep, only 1 away from getting it done. And they look unstoppable. Wilt's there. Very an ill-advised flank. I said before, it didn't really make sense for them to cover the flank when it was earlier rounds. This time around, it made perfect sense when weaponry is like that. And they were able to pitch it out perfectly.
We have got a full-blown team separation right now. Everybody from Nova on the A side or mid. Everybody from Madison there diving hard into B site. That's almost a guaranteed spike plant. They're going to force Nova into a retake, but covering the flank, like you said, Jack, will it make the difference it needs to? And the answer is already yes. Nunu goes down. It is up to Menace to find one more. If they do, that could be all she wrote for Nova here in the traditional game. The overtime feeling almost guaranteed. 5-3 on the line. Menace waiting for the third, and they find it! Wilt devastated on that turnaround. 5-2, 5-1, and they have all but done it. Barry falls. This is probably the best comeback I have seen in ages, but they lose the advantage, they lose the econ, they lose the ultimates. We are clean across the board. It comes down to sheer mechanical skill from here on out.
Talk about this a lot. There's still strategy that goes into it, but mostly it is going to be that mechanical skill because everyone will have an equal economy. Comes down now to getting 2-round differential. You got to win by +2 on your bottom scoreline. You can win 2 rounds in a row and still not win if your opponent is able to win one before that. So we'll have to see who's able to get the advantage early on. You swap sides every round. You reset economy every round. You set your ult bank every round. So nothing can be kept here. There's no saving. There's no good losses. There's only losses here in overtime.
Menace commits to the op, and at this point, I don't blame him for a second. This op has been crazy, and of course, as I said, he misses the shot because a little bit of a caster curse on my part, but either way, this operator has been terrifying. It truly has the highest degree in Nova back on the offense for the first time in a long time. We're going to have to see if they can keep up, or if they can, sorry, not keep up, if they can find their footing. It has been a long time. They obviously have a much stronger offense than defense, but, you know, if they win this one and then Madison wins, we just continue moving forward. And it looks like Nova already in a very good position. Beefy and Nunu gonna find some kills. Sea-Dog in a tough spot. Just can't find the elimination they needed. 5v2 in favor of Nova. You can't go for a save. It's pointless. You've got to be the hero here. Menace has been the hero many a time already. Can they be it just one more time when Madison needs it most?
It's going to be so tricky, but it's not impossible, especially with those pings. They've got a good idea where the attackers are. If they take out Barry time, makes it a lot easier, but you see where they're holding right now. Nova, they're not even playing this part of the point. They're just waiting for that defuse to come in.
They also know Menace has / had that operator, right? And oh my goodness. Menace is desperate. They want this win
Last
more than they
player
want to
standing.
breathe
Last
right now. That is the
player
third
standing.
one down. Wilkes finds the kill. Who wins it? An ace. Puts it away. Is there enough time on the clock? I believe
Yes.
the answer is yes.
Yes.
In Madison, they win their 13th round. That is what, their 8th in a row?
Switching
That is,
sides.
we'll have to look at that
Match
in a
point.
second, and it looks like it is 8 now, including overtime. That is insane, and that fell apart so quickly. I think the fact that
Crumbled.
I think it's what you said. They knew that Menace had the operator, so the way they played that was so differently. They didn't realize
It was
that
genius.
Phantom was picked up. They played in positions they can't avoid a Phantom. They can avoid an operator, but definitely not a Phantom.
Right.
And then they just continue to take 1v1s. You saw it every time. Nova, one person peeked out, died. It was a 1v1 at the end, but it wasn't enough. Wilkes couldn't get the job done, and now they are on match point. Madison wins this. They win this map 14-12.
Absurd to think this team was down 5, 7 points at one point. Case in point, they're up, they're winning, which they have not been doing the entire map until right now. So this is, they waited until the last possible moment. I love to call that the esports factor. Usually whenever game is being played, the Valorant factor, where a team waits until the last possible opportunity to win and to remember how to play the game. And MCC, I don't know if they weren't warmed up, if they were shaking off the rust, if their non-sponsored gamer liquid finally activated. I don't know what changed, but they have really become a brand new team from what the beginning of Icebox looked like. They get the spike plant as well. Now they are 5 eliminations short of walking away from Icebox with a 2-point victory.
I think it's been Menace who's been
Truly.
absolutely that. Just they have become online. They have been leading the team. Everyone has stepped up as well. But Menace able to win.
Oh
They were
my-
able to get 2.
I love Madison. I think they're doing a great job, but it is Menace who is making the difference in every single round. We have seen a 3K, a 4K. We're looking for an ace
Could be an
to
ace.
clutch out overtime right now. Beefy has the op, and Madison, they don't have to engage if they don't want to. Menace gets a little bit too kill hungry there. The top frag goes down. It's going to be a 3-1.
My ult's ready.
2-1, but the spike, I believe, is already too late in the phase. In Madison, they have done what
Attackers
felt
win.
impossible just minutes ago. They have won Icebox 14-12. That is probably the best game of Valorant I have seen in a very long time.
That was one of the closest I've seen in a long time. The overtime period ended pretty quickly, but the comeback, 9 rounds. That is what Madison won, to be able to win that map. That is insane. That goes against all the stats that we know, and yet it has been done. Menace leading their team across the finish line, helping them get back up when they needed to. And that dynasty that Nova wants to establish, well, it's not even one step of the way there. It's 1-0 against them. And Madison, if they can continue that momentum Valorant, they might be able to take this crown away from these champions that have been playing over and over and winning this championship over and over.
Yeah, and that is a terrifying consideration. I've got to say, I've cast so much of this game based off of the statistics, off of what we so common see. So it's the games like that that truly get me unbelievably excited to be casting this game, because all expectation, all statistical reality is just thrown completely out the window when a player like Menace decides, oh, I'd like to play the game again, please. And they just show up and tear a team apart with their bare hands. And speaking of individual players, before we end up throwing into this break, I want to talk about Nunu, because even though Nunu's team unfortunately did lose, the Raze pick was weird. I think Nunu was a really strong player, but I don't think it had anything to do with Raze. I think it was entirely Nunu. So I'm curious, is there a more conventional or a more meta agent to be played in that slot right now? Because I can't think of even a single kill Nunu got that wasn't just with a gun. There was very little utility usage.
Yeah, I think there's 1 or 2 showstopper kills in there, but I didn't really see any paint shells. I think we also saw that one blast pack one that happened to, be that last hit. But beyond that, I think you're right. I mean, we talked about this a lot. The Reyna is the better pick because, again, verticality, everyone can do it because there's so many ropes. Reyna just really good because she has the leer, so she can blind you. You're able to walk in because of that. You can get kills off of that. And then her ability to self-heal is so valuable in a game like Valorant, where only 3 characters can heal right now: Sage, Skye, and herself. 4, excuse me. Phoenix as well can heal himself up. So a minority amount of the cast can do it. And in this case, Raze just is kind of like a majority of the duel. She just does a lot of damage, but not much else. There just isn't the tactic that you really need to use. Reyna could have been a big difference. I think Sea-Dog especially stepped it up in the latter halves. It was really Menace who got most of the work done, but Sea-Dog had some pop-off moments themselves, and a lot of that was because of Reyna's, because of the Empress giving them that extra fire rate, being able to see enemies out clearer with that red, what is the description of it? But you can see them easier. So, you know, just
the outline.
The Reyna a difference a little bit over the Rays. I agree. The still played really well. Nunu did, but I feel like the Reyna would have been the better pick there.
I agree. And, you know, but one last point, and then we're going to have to throw it to a break to prepare for the second map. But I want to talk about Sea-Dog in particular. I think you've led me into this point great. It was Sea-Dog in the round. It was 12-6, I believe, 12-5. Sea-Dog got a triple kill, doubled their kill column in that round, and kept the team alive, and only overperformed from there on out. I don't know what the switch was that flipped. I don't know what changed, but I agree. Sea-Dog, kind of an unsung hero there, especially because it was just menace in the kill feed all day long, truly living up to the name of being a menace. But, you know, jumping into this next map, we're going to be swapping to Ascent. This is one that I feel nobody gets a tactical advantage because everybody has played this map thousands of times, but we'll talk about that a little more after this break. Everybody use this time, get up, get water, use the restroom, do whatever you got to do, but do not miss this second map, because if it is anything even close to as great as Icebox was, it's going to be a great map of Valorant. We'll see you folks right back here in just a couple of minutes. What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the NJCAAE Valorant Grand Finals. I'm still Septilence, that's still Jag, and we're going to be bringing you the second map of the evening, which, who knows, depending on how things go, could be our last, but could be a precursor to what would be our third and final. Either way, Icebox came and went, already gone, jumping into Ascent. Jag, what should we know before we jump into this one here?
Well, it's really important to know that the map picks, the way they went down was that Madison, they picked Icebox. They were able to win on their own pick, able to have that amazing comeback. We're down 5-12, able to bring it all the way to overtime, 114-12 at the end of the day. But this is now not their map pick. This is familiar territory for Nova. This is a map that I think you had said previously teams have probably played thousands of times. This was the most played map for a very long time. I feel like Ascent still pretty popular, but sometimes doesn't find its way in a best of 3 anymore, but here it is today. Nova, they came prepared for this map. They told me earlier they have a composition they really like for this. Didn't say if it was meta, didn't say if it was anything special. They just said, we feel very comfortable on this map. The other one they said they liked a lot was Breeze, which is a map that we'll be going to in that tiebreaker, a map that Madison said they'd win. So this is the map that feels like if they're going to make a comeback on it, I mean, it has to be this one because that's just the way that numbers work. But this is their best chance at winning. I feel like on Breeze, you know, it's not going to be one way or the other. It's going to be a very even playing field.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to be as even a playing field as I think we're going to get because, you know, like we talked about right beforehand and, you know, during the break even, everyone's played this map a million times. And the only agent I think we're going to see, matter of fact, 100% is that Sova, of course, because they don't call it Sova's Playground for nothing, right? He's a super important agent, and obviously he's locked in on both sides. Now, Nova here has done nothing out of the ordinary, but no. Madison, on the other hand, still not that far out of traditional expectation.
I think the biggest thing really is the Sage and the Omen. That's the biggest switch. So Omen, I feel like is best right now on Haven because there's so many just straightaway sight lines. Ascent, not a lot of that. Mid is a little bit just kind of a straight shot, but everything else is very, you know, kind of going around corners. So very interesting. I feel like the paranoia is kind of what you're playing around there.
Of course.
But the Sage is the thing that really is interesting to me. Because Omen can still play the entirety of the map, just like an Astra can, from any place in the map. Sage, however, you know, she does do healing, but it's not AoE healing. It's one person, one orb every 40 seconds. A lot more, I would say, point denial than point entry. I mean, Skye does have CC herself with her Guiding Light and her Trailblazer, but she can use that anywhere. Sage more with her walls and orbs are just denying space. And also her Resurrection. That is a huge ultimate, but it also takes a long time to charge. Which tells me that Madison want to play this a little bit more individually than team-based. They don't want to stack on top of each other as much.
Scary.
Nova probably going to play a lot more around that Skye. But as I say that, I mean, right now they're just playing around that Sage completely.
Yeah, the Sage seems to be almost their entry maker to a certain extent, kind of closing off a certain entrance, forcing at least through mid, if not a full rotate around to A. But B, for the time being, on the side of Nova, has been completely cut off. And now they're going to have to obviously play around that. A lot of damage already dealt. The Jet on the side of Nova, who I'm not sure who that is. I don't know. I didn't catch roll swaps. They locked an agent so quickly. It was Beefy, who's unfortunately no longer with us. One tap from Menace going to be able to take them offline. Then a free ult orb to boot. Now losing Beefy that early on, I can't remember the last time Nova lost Beefy and won the round. So we're going to have to see if Nova can flip a switch here or if Madison is just carrying this lion's share of the momentum into a brand new map.
You can tell Menace is feeling themselves right now. They had a huge pop-off game, and they went for a very aggressive flank. Pushing out onto A like that is very, very risky, especially when you know that Madison, they're going to be playing mostly together.
I've never seen Sea Dog's Frenzy before. I don't even know what gun that is. I've never seen that gun before. Completely unrelated because Sea Dog is unfortunately dead, but Menace finds another kill, has yet to take a lick of damage.
30 seconds left.
The spike's up, but you're down an entire player. Nunu getting a little too aggressive. Barry falls. Nunu falls!
Ace.
Oh my goodness! Menace
Could be an
looking
ace.
for the pistol round ace. And finds it! Oh my golly! Talk about feeling courageous, talk about feeling confident. Menace, living, breathing proof that momentum absolutely carries over into a brand new map. Nova, they've got to be hurting after that one.
Menace, one of the Fortnite bros we talked about earlier on, played with Sea-Dog at one point in years of competition. Sea-Dog, you know, had a better performance on Icebox and all said and here in a set, the only death on their team currently, but it's totally fine because their brother in arms, Menace, is just leading the charge. They're leading the cause. How can you stop a Jet that's being this accurate?
It's a tough ask. It's a very tall ask, especially because that dash is obviously one of Jet's most impactful abilities. Gets her out of a fight in less than a second. She just completely gets to ignore anything that's happening around her and force any kind of re-engagement. And so far, it's just Menace all day long. You know, I won't crack the joke again, but truly being a thorn in the side of Nova, getting kills when they matter most. And now it's up to Ace finding Vank in the mid like that. And I believe Vank had Spike as well. Yeah, currently not held by anyone. Hopefully this guy doesn't make the same mistake. Ace going for a rotate. Just senses somebody's on that corner, but now going to get distracted by the sky. Goes for the peek. Beefy falls, though. Sea Dog with that crossfire, able to catch them out. And Nova really struggling to find their opening here. This is their map pick, right, Jack?
This is, and it's not going to be a surprise. That's going to be a flawless round after the pistol. There wasn't really a buy on Nova's side anyway, so the fact that they couldn't get one isn't great. One kill would have been at least a good trade in a loss like that, but they gotta reset themselves. One thing to note is that Nunu went to the Sova and Wills went to the Sky, so that's very interesting to me. Because Nunu previously was on the Duelist, much more aggressive playstyle than he would have a Sova. I feel like it should be Nuvu who's on the Sky, honestly. I feel like Sky, even though she's a healer, still plays very aggressively with her guiding lights.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure this is because just of playtime and experience and stuff like that.
Sure.
But when you switch up playstyles like that, it can really hinder what a player can do.
Swapping roles in the middle of a series is a tough thing to do. Obviously, the roles ask of different things per player, and it's really going to be difficult to just flip your entire playstyle on its head like that. So I'm curious if that's going to hurt them in the long run. Nezuko gets traded out 1 for 1, but that's still going to be pretty huge here as, you know, you've taken somebody offline, and that's what matters at the end of the day. It's Beefy again. Second round of the 3 already, the first blood. Menace with that op who is crazy strong, but I really don't like the op skin. I think it's ugly, but that's just an opinion. Nobody needs to know that. I just don't like it. It's too screen cluttery for me. It distracts me.
Well, maybe I like Hanada's a little bit more, trying to hold it down.
I do like it.
This is crazy. Madison, they popped 2 operators on what should be a bonus for Nova. And the fact that Nezuka was even able to get a trade there, honestly, is very impressive. They knew exactly where that stage was. It's just because you do... It's actually in Marshall, my bad. You do lose your primary healer, but they knew exactly where you were. So the fact that you were able to even find a kill there is impressive. It wasn't... You know, it would have just been like, you lose your stage and that's it.
Get one tapped, right? Yeah, no. To get that trade there is... I'm not going to say the only thing to keep Madison alive in this round, but things are looking really good, right? It keeps them equal, and that makes it obviously that much easier for Madison to win. They don't have to climb out of a deficit. They just have to take a fair fight. Very accidentally dodging bullet after bullet. Another 1-1 trade. Vank and Sea Dog going to go toe-to-toe, but Wilt and Vank cleaning it up right now. Who else but Menace? You've got to get out, I think. With an op, you have to get out of dodge here. Notice the turret is up. I don't see a world where Menace makes it out of this one without some kind of absolute hero play. The updraft, smart enough, and yeah, you're supposed to lose this round. It's truly not the end of the world. Uh-oh, mark it. Mark it. Right.
Here.
I would be. Yeah.
Keep up.
Yeah, this is a game I'd already be typing /FF. And it'd be like, you play at least 5 rounds before your team can forfeit. And, you know, somebody with an op on round 3 tearing it up like that, I'd already want to be done with this map. And Menace takes a lot of damage early on. I think that was on a 54 HP. Of course, going to get healed right back up. That's what the healers are there for. But I'm truly not sure what Nova can do here other than land a Vandal one-tap and take Menace out of the fight before they're even able to pull the trigger on that op.
I think I just had a bit of an oopsie daisy. I believe my mic was muted during that, unfortunately, on our broadcasting software. So they only heard half of that conversation, but essentially I was just saying, Menace, really good, very scary. Avoid him at all costs because you don't want to be in that sight line. And they just don't challenge him ever. It feels like they just continue to let him live, and because of that, there will always be a chance for Madison to win a round, regardless of how much they're up.
Menace do be a very strong player. That is just matter of fact, has made an impact time and time again, carried several rounds on Icebox to secure that round win for the team, and now it's just a lot of back and forth. I don't know, Ascent feels notably slower. Like, the fact that we're only on round 4 right now feels weird to me, because Icebox, people were getting ripped apart like there was no tomorrow, like that, for example. But this just feels a lot slower. Like, neither team is totally sure what to do here. Oh, okay, well, I know what Nova. They need to stop walking into an operator. That's obviously going to hurt. Now, BP finds Sea-Dog, finds Nezuko. A huge opening, but Menace, I mean, the op, obviously going to one-tap. He has 71 HP. Looking for the kill onto Wiltz. He's flying the corner. Sends the Wolf out. The Blade Storm! No way we get a second ace.
It's possible.
The shot has to go for the Sheriff. Oh my
God! No way! No way!
There have been 20 eliminations available, okay, in total for the 4 rounds that we've seen for MCC.
You should have seen your faces.
Menace has at least 10 of them, and I know it's over 10. I know it's more than 10. Menace, oh no, okay, never mind.
They've only gotten kills and they've gotten aces.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. That, wow, 2 aces, not quite back-to-back, but holy cow.
So, this is a question you might be able to answer for me. Do you know if the Seekers were online? Because if they were, that would have been the perfect situation to use them. If they weren't...
I don't believe they were.
Yeah, so there you go. So Wiltz could not use them. I was going to say, if they were, they probably got them after their Jeff.
That would have been genius, though, yeah.
That would have been perfect. Unfortunately, the Blade Storm being popped, there was a great opportunity when Berry Time fell, because all of them were used. It was the alternate fires. They didn't get them back. But the play there with the Sheriff, so aggressive, so hard to deal with, and now Menace has to have a field of 2 more.
Oh my goodness! Somebody stop this man! Oh my goodness, my golly! BP gets in up close and personal, able to find 2 eliminations already, but is that going to be enough? Nezuko goes down once again. Oh, the paranoia! Oh, the shot dart! Ace falls to Nunu. It is a Jet Sova. Jet Sova. Next kill makes or breaks. Menace takes out Beefy, and there goes Nunu. Oh my goodness, this is an absolute field day for Madison right now.
I mean, it wasn't the ace. That's like the one thing. Menace only getting 3 kills there.
Only 3 out of 5.
But look at this. 13, 3, 3, 2, 1. That's crazy. Like I wanna point out. This is the
game I'd forfeit. This is the game if somebody on the other team had 13 elims and my team had 4 at most, I'd be done. I'd be like, no, thank you. Next game, please.
I want to mention, though, I mean, we're giving a lot of credit to Menace, but Nezuko has 6 assists right now, so this Sage is doing a lot of good work, whether it's the healing or it's an orb. Unfortunately, Sea-Dog falls there, but this Sage has been doing really well.
Yeah, oh, 100%, 100%. Getting a trade almost every single time. Beefy! Beefy! No way! Oh my goodness, hungry for a kill. Bloodthirsty for that elimination. And we saw, you know, completely getting out of dodge there. Menace is 13-0 right now, I think. I don't think they've died yet, so this has been, I mean, just a field day so far. And I liked Beefy's strat there. Had he tapped his bullets, you know, he could have found the kill, and that would have made an entire new scenario for this round if he won. Nezuko picks up that first elimination onto Beefy. Wiltz, though, with that equalizer, might be able to find one more. Nezuko getting a little too courageous on the corner. Great rotation around sight, though.
Nezuko's blinded. Yeah, it's going to be hard.
And I don't think Menace is even a little aware, yep, that people are flanking them. Menace goes down, and that's going to be the 2nd round win that Nova's able to pick up. Only 2 rounds separating MCC and Nova from turning this situation on its head. However, if Menace even plays a fraction of how he has been up to this point, it is just going to be MCC all day long.
It's scary though when you're relying on only one person to get everything done.
Oh, absolutely.
The rest of the team does have to step up at some point and try to help out. Well, to see what they can do. They won't be able to buy here. They give up the operator, and that was Menace's first death because the only other round they lost, they saved. So this is, this does look like another win for Nova. They have everything in their corner. If they lose this, that is going to be so bad for them. Like, that's just really going to be hard to come back from because then they can't buy, and they give up a lot of free guns.
Yeah, 100%. For MCC to pop the Blade Storm here is a very bold move. I like popping it on a round deficit where you have to go for a bit of a short buy because you can either, give your teammate a weapon or you can pick up a weapon, either or. But it's also really tough because no one's there to back you up in situations just like that. Menace goes down early. Now Zuko folds like a lawn chair. 5v2, 2 pistols and a dream. Ace falls to the Odin, and Kanata, I don't think winning this one. Had I to guess, probably not walking away with the round win. That is a flawless for Nova. Only one round separates these teams. I think Nova walks away with this round win as well.
It's possible, but this is going to be a bye, so Madison going to try to equal things out. If Madison loses this, then all momentum goes to Nova's favor. However, they used the Cosmic Divide there. I think this would have been great for them to use now to cut off the operator. There was really nothing that Madison could do there. They had no weapons that could try to, go toe-to-toe range-wise, and that's a huge utility that they have now off the board. Now, they can still use the lockdown to try to clear out point, which is probably what they'll try to do, but it's not nearly as effective at cutting off sight lines.
Cutting off sight lines is, of course, crucial on a map like Ascent, where there's a lot of long-term engagements, a lot of long approaches, and cutting off a sight line like that was huge. For just a moment, BP had no idea what was going on, and Kanata just peeked to the corner and stood there for a second, didn't even pull the trigger on the weapon. That second is all you need with an op like that. BP now trying to play the long game, misses 3 knives, down to 2 already. That Blade Storm might be down the drain. Menace looking for a pot shot of their own. It is just the battle of the ops right now.
Advantage to Nova. They still have 2 ultimates, and this could be the time they rotate. Leave Beefy there. Get any stragglers. Go for it. B. They really haven't gone to B in quite a few rounds. They've just been A all the time, every time. But they get Menace off of A. That's huge. So, oh, they miss.
Nazuko gets a little too frightened though. Didn't expect the op shot to make an appearance. Sea-Dog caught on sight. This is gonna be a tough one to turn around. But if Beefy's not ready, that'll be huge. And it looks like we're gonna have a KJ ultimate from the side of Nova. It puts Sea-Dog in hell, but Sea-Dog doesn't have to leave sight entirely, and I think that's kind of what Nova may have been aiming for. However, Nunu's going to be able to cover up the hole in that plan, make sure that this guarantees them a free sight approach, and they're sticking to a full-blown detain as well. I'm not sure who it is, but that hurts.
I'm not sure who it was either. I think that was the Omen maybe, and no, they're really far away actually. So I was thinking, did Omen try to teleport at that? I'm not sure who was detained there. That was very interesting. But this looks like just a save. I think that Madison says, we can't win this, so we're just going to save what we have, try to go for it next round. Interesting decision here. Very interesting overall. I think if Nunu doesn't win that this round goes very differently, but because they got the elimination onto Sea-Dog, after that, like, Madison's just like, all right, this one's over, just go next.
Yeah, I think had Sea-Dog won that, then the team turns into a kind of saving Private Sea-Dog situation, right? You've got to get completely full send into the back line trying to keep your teammate alive, but you bought it off. You cannot afford anything else in the next round if you lose to that. And the same almost goes for these Vandals. It's not quite a force buy, but I mean, it's about as close can be. So I really like that play. I think it's risky because you've given up the lead to survive, but you've put yourself in a scenario where not all hope is lost on this upcoming round either.
Yeah, but what can the people that fell do? It looks like they're going to have to go for Spectre, so not really the position you want to be in. Vank still has that Odin, hasn't been taken out of their hands yet. Like, this is like a more winnable scenario than getting the entire team wiped in an attempt to take a 3v5, but it's still not looking good. And Menace has been very quiet now.
Menace looking the wrong way with that op as well. BP goes for the peek, and Menace finds it. That's huge. If somebody can get out there and grab that op, I mean, that obviously puts a lot more firepower into the hands of MCC. A Hunter's Fury, though, from Nova. A courageous play. Nunu getting hyper-aggressive and somebody giving their gun away. It looks like they're going to be able to... I was his own Astra. What am I saying? I'm not even speaking. MCC, they find themselves up 5-4. Nova, though, they're going for a full rotate through mid. This is going to be tough. As far as they're aware, there's at least one operator online.
This would be really tricky. That's the first time they've lost someone like first in quite a bit, and because of that I feel like Nova doesn't really know what to do here.
Also, if I had to guess, it feels like BT's their IGL. I'm not positive on that fact. Like I don't have anything to back that up, but I feel the play style really changes when BT goes missing. Wow, none of those bullets hit CDog the first time around. That's kind of insane. But NJCAA immediately finds the trade. 4v4 turns into, or 4v5 turns into 4v2 in favor of MCC here. The Wolfpack trying to make every moment count. And the elbow is usually all you need, but Menace unfortunately gonna whiff that shot. Oh no, actually hit them, just didn't find the kill.
It's a wall bang, and that's why it didn't end up getting the elimination, but Vegas able to get one back. Ace not gonna push.
Ace is a great flank right now though, if they're fast enough.
They're patient.
Oh, that corner more than any other corner in the game. That little cubby right there up the window, you cannot just walk past that. You've got to be keeping your eyes in that site because someone will almost always be there if they're defending that A site.
I just don't think there was enough time. I think you had to run through that. I totally agree with you, by the way. Yeah. But in that scenario, Bank has no time to look. You check it for even a split second, and you might leave the point uncovered.
You swap to your knife if you're running past like that, you know?
It's true. That's very true. Because at that point, you're going to be vulnerable anyway, so you might as well go a bit faster to help Wilts. But neither of them had any help there. Both fall.
Yeah.
And Madison able to take back the lead for the moment, but nobody was still able to buy here. I don't know if they have an operator online. I wasn't able to look at it in time. But if they did, that'd be pretty good because, again, Menace has to be shut down. And there it is. Yeah, no operator. They do get the Odin once more.
I've got your trail.
It's that operator battle. They were able to win it a few times. That really helped them get ahead. Now they don't have that.
The op battle was really 50-50. It truly felt like it was, and that kind of gave Nova the, I'm not going to say leg up, but it equalized when it needed to be most. Speaking of equalizing, I think we're going to see that here happen one way or another. Ace is going to find Berrytine, and no, there is no equalizer. So Ace picking up a double kill. Nada makes it a triple there as Beefy goes down. 5v3 in favor of MCC. Once again, the Wolfpack, they are truly, I mean, just in charge. They are large and in charge right now, looking to put their 6th round on the board.
That rotation was amazing. This is where an Omen can be really handy.
Yeah.
He's able to get in and out of places so quickly, and his paranoia is huge. You saw they're able to rotate for Market, get the paranoia down on everyone, and that turned it around. It turned into what was a guaranteed kill for Nova, and to losing 3 people.
Oh, Menace finds Wilds. Nezuko falls, but truly not the end of the world. I mean, it's not a flawless round, but everybody else lives. Somebody can definitely buy for Nezuko. You lose, theoretically, nothing in that scenario.
Yeah, you really are able to still be holding strong. Your economy still isn't as good. Nova was able to win a few late rounds, which means they are getting more money. They also have more credits just from losing a few rounds early on.
Right.
But you're in a great scenario. Beefy could go for an operator now, but this is where it gets down to, like, Madison, they have a guaranteed draw at worst. They could get to an 8-4 lead, though.
An 8-4 lead is, I mean, a scary consideration. We saw, what was it, 7-5 at the half last time, right, on Icebox. And, you know, if MCC walks in with that 7th, they give themselves at least a 2-round advantage into the halftime. If they find that 8-4, obviously that puts them 1 round closer to winning. However, Hanada has something to say about any hope or dream Nova has on this. Finds 3 on his way out the door. And that's all they needed it for. It's up to Barry to try and save the day, but walking right into an op shot from Menace is going to be the 7th round win for MCC. The Wolves are looking for their 8th round win here. That will put them 5 rounds away from winning grand finals in a 2-0.
No 9-3 curse available here, because that's not possible. This is going to be the last round before the swap. And an 8-4 lead would be huge. 7-5, I mean, we saw what happened for Nova. That's what they had going into Icebox after the side swap, and it immediately crumbled. It's not big enough. Those extra 2 rounds are huge, especially if you lose out on the pistol.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. This is a very important round for Madison, and they do have a slight advantage here, because you saw there is one member on Nova who has light armor.
There's 3 operators on the table right now, but Sea-Dog immediately swaps down to a Vandal. Beefy also going to miss their shot, but Menace, what a crossfire play! Sea-Dog was literally just a sandbag there to pull focus. Menace finds an amazing kill, and that truly could be the beginning of the end of this round. They lose, how many have there been? We're coming up, the 12th round is being played right now. I feel like Beefy's been the first to die in at least 6 of them.
Yeah, they have been, unfortunately. That's kind of how it is when you're a Jet.
Right.
You're the first in and the first out, one way or another.
Yeah, I feel it's truly impactful on Nova's gameplay because Beefy was that power player for them for so long, especially on Icebox. I feel we haven't even seen that here on Ascent, but Icebox, the beginning of it just felt like Beefy all day long, and ever since that halftime swap, MCC, they put themselves in the driver's seat, and I don't know if they glued themselves in or what, but they are refusing to budge.
Yeah, they are super glued in, but it's not over yet. There are still quite a few ultimates on the side of Madison to help them get over the hump. But even with that one-person advantage right now, it's not all said and done just yet, especially when you lose Nezuko, who has the res, the most important ultimate, that could completely turn things around.
Yeah, that res. Had anybody else gone down, it would have been fine, right? You would have just res, but to lose it, that definitely hurts. Ace going to be able to send out a pretty aggressive Paranoia, chooses not to engage off the back of it. Menace with another great cross up there. Unfortunately, nobody in market. Ace misses both, I think? No, Barry took a lot of damage. Okay, down to like maybe 5 HP. Gets taken out by an Optimus Spine. Menace pops the Blade Storm, finds a third, and there's just not enough time to do anything else. 8-4, this is...
Switching sides.
This is just the Wolfpack all day long so far. This is Nova's pivotal moment to turn this around.
Right now, it looks like the Nighthawks, they are struggling to see in the dark. A little bit of deep hole.
Menace has 4 times the amount of elims of anybody else in lobby.
And only 2 deaths.
Just a little fun fact.
Only 2
deaths. 2 deaths.
That's 4 less than anyone on their team, and 8 less than
3
BT,
times,
who's leading deaths currently in the lobby on the other side. So that's... Yeah, this feels like a one-person show right now. I mean,
yeah,
there are still good plays from the rest of the squad on the side of Madison, but Menace has just been an absolute game changer, and that might be all you need, really. Is just Menace to continue performing here. Only 5 more rounds, and you win the championship.
That's so crazy. Menace is just, I mean, not even giving Nova a moment to breathe. And, you know, the op's been taken out of his hands, right? So this is Menace's kind of time to shine with anything else. A Nano Swarm kill on the Nezuko. Menace falls. A turret kill on the Sea-Dog there. Ace picks up Barry, but the damage has been done. Ace no more than what I can assume is 30 HP.
One enemy remaining.
Oh my goodness, Ace goes down. Hinata finds 1. Can you find 3 more? Unfortunately, Hinata will also fall 3-0. Nova, they win the pistol round. They're guaranteed an additional. They're not guaranteed, but statistically, they're expected to win an additional. Can they make this a 6-8, and can they carry it any further?
This is where the difference would be if it was 5-7 versus 8-4. This could be them tying up the game right here. They're still going to be at a 2-round deficit, but it's definitely a start. You saw that Madison finally got punished for their over-aggression. I mean, Menace has been just that, but there they go in alone. The turret's not destroyed. Everyone is all over the place. The Nano Swarm kicks in. You saw the plan, like, you know, if Menace pops off right now, it seems to be the plan. And when that doesn't work, what else can Madison do?
An effective plan. A simple yet effective plan. You know, of course, until it's not. So you've got to be careful that they don't eventually become wise to Menace's overperformance and find a way to constantly counter out this Jet, which we talked about. I can't even think of anything where it's like, oh, just blank, other than just kill the Jet, but obviously that's a hard thing to do. So Nova, if they win this round, they are in. They could be smooth sailing from here on out, but it's the next round, I think, that's really going to tip the scales one way or another, because that's the round statistically Nova's expected to lose. Oh, Sea-Dog goes down early. Great start for Nova. And
if you're going to be at this weapon disadvantage, you might as well just run in.
Very true.
5-man stack all the way onto a point, but they're split. They're found out. Menace is going to be tracked down, and Beefy's going to get a little revenge.
Menace. Oh, man. Yeah, Beefy finally coming to life here. It may have been all about that side swap. Oh, as I say it, Predator takes him down with a tap to the dome. It's up to Ace to save the day. A 4v1. Every util in the game currently being used on this poor little Omen. Dodges a flash, cannot dodge the bullets to the head. Wilt's picking up that kill. Nova, they found their 6th. This next round, this is the one I'm looking for.
Yeah,
will MCC win it, or does Nova carry on forward?
This is going to be the bonus. There should be, you know, statistically we always talk about that. There should be MCC being able to get one back. It's not guaranteed. We've seen plenty of 30 rounds come through. The biggest thing I want to talk about, though, for Nova in that round, it reminds me of when they used the Cosmic Divide and they really didn't need to. This felt very similar to that in the last round. The Gravity Well, the Guiding Light on one Omen with a class. It didn't even pick up a Spectre. They used so much utility there. It's going to force Nova to buy. So if they lose this, their economy is going to be taking a harder hit than it usually would.
Yeah, definitely a bit of overkill there in that position. And speaking of kill, Hinata finds Wilt early on. Again, this is a round that FCC is expected to win. Nezuko takes out Beefy. You just do not win that firefight with a ghost, unfortunately. 5v3 already in favor of the Wolfpack. Winning this round, they get the spike plant. They've guaranteed themselves additional credits moving into the future. And every credit counts in a scenario like this. When you want to win this, you want to win the next. When you hit those double digits, it's going to force Nova to really kick it up a notch. Try and stay alive in this series. Bit of a spray and pray. Vank finds one. Nunu finds another. 5v2 turns into 3v2. Nova's 1 kill away from tying things up here, but the spike is ticking. They've got to get in here quick. Oh, Nunu, 48 HP in a dream. You've just got to go to be the hero here. And the hero will be slain pretty quickly. Hanada finds that 3rd kill of the round. MCC, they are up 9-6.
A lot of the time you see why teams decide to just rush A and not even bother with B. It's so hard to defend post-plant because the way it's designed,
Absolutely.
you have to play on top of it, or you play in garage and then you're completely separated. So there, it was a bit of a, it wasn't as clean as I'm sure Madison wanted it to be, but they were spread out enough where they covered all angles, were able to hold the point really well with that Sage wall. And there is Nezuko. We talked about this Sage pick, not ordinary on Ascent, but it is paying off pretty well in situations like that.
Yeah, the Sage Ball, a weird util here on Ascent, used to be picked all the time, as the game has evolved. Sage has fallen more and more to the wayside of Ascent choices. And speaking of people falling, Seadog taken out by Vank there with the Phantom Blind Fire, Wallbang included. The Wallbang special going to be taken out early on. The Blade Storm from Nova. They're aggressive. Beefy wants more of these eliminations. They want to find these kills as quickly and effortlessly as possible. Putting one more round away could be enough to really start scaring the Wolfpack here. And, obviously, every round you win is one round closer to being able to tie things up.
The floor pangs. Seems like Nova, despite the fact that they're up, getting the best of them getting there. They do have an overgrowth, and they get another kill on the Menace. Even though the spike punch is looking really good for the defenders, just as I say that, what?
Golly, the Twins coming in hot, but Vank possibly coming in hot on the spike, already planted. Vank, I thought they were going for a full-blown lockdown there, but I'm glad to see they didn't. I love the rotation out. They forced the Sova to peek on his own. They get it to the half. They're going to have to fight it, but Hanada with the wall bang puts it down for the Wolfpack. They find those double digits. They live another day, and they've got plenty of ultimates moving into this 11th round for them.
The Twins, they get it done. They don't survive together, but Hanada able to bring it home for their sister in this scenario. Nezuko stayed alive long enough again. Great plays by the Sage. I mean, the assists, 10 assists, they are doing work even if the kills aren't going to be there. If you're enabling your team to get kills, stay on top of that leaderboard, that's all that matters. Now you've got 3 ultimates, you've got better guns, Nova has to save, you're at double digits. Everything is going the way of Madison after it looks a little shaky.
Oh my goodness, speaking of going the way of Madison, 2 eliminations out the gate. The virtual gates just closed, and Madison picks up 2 eliminations in the blink of an eye. Barry in for a rude awakening, perhaps. No! Madison who's in for a rude awakening. Golly, a double kill with the Ghost. Not quite the equalizer they need, but some damage to that econ has certainly been done.
It's a little bit of damage, but it's not going to be enough. It's still going to be a spike plant, so that's going to be extra credits. It's something, right? We always talk about, like, I feel like 1-2 kills is great. Anything more than that is just, like, amazing in a save round. So they do damage, but this is the last round here. They lose this, it's over. They can't buy next round. So we talk about do or die. Madison, they were able to get it done. They were able to win it out when it was most needed here. Beefy of an operator, everyone else of assault rifles with Phantoms to be specific. 2 ultimates to their name. It has to be a stop here, or the bleeding will be too much to overcome.
Yeah, this is the time. This is your last chance to clean up those wounds before you return yourself into the battle. And Nova, they need to win this round. Oh my goodness, and that is a phenomenal way to start. Menace folded like a lawn chair after fireworks. That is going to be a phenomenal opening for Nova. The top frag, by a notable margin, still is gone. And MCC, not that these players have underperformed, but obviously Menace is that top dog in lobby right now. Top wolf, I guess, in lobby. And this is just going to be a great opportunity for MCC to engage. The Cosmic Divide, it's a weird one. I don't dislike it, but I'm not sure it was necessary either.
It cuts off Hinata, though. That's a 100 Fury now that's gone.
Oh, Nunu. Okay, now Seadog is going to be able to find 1 Elim. Ace picks up Vank. 2v1, I think Nova's got this one in the bag, which is great because like we said, they needed it. A dash into some boxes, certainly not going to help. Can't get the reload and gets just collapsed on. Phenomenal crossfire there. MCC, they have lost another round. Nova, they win their 7th. Is this just going to be exactly like Icebox? Is this going to be Nova's time to turn it around?
And MCC hasn't even been guaranteed overtime yet. They're still at 11, so that 12th round hasn't come through. It could be Nova just running the table, getting 6 more, and just taking it in regulation. We're not there quite yet. Madison only has 1 player, Nezuko, who can't buy fully, so we'll have to see what they end up doing here. Probably going to be a Spectre. No, Sheriff, I guess, for now. Berry Time also going to have to go for a Judge. So, you know, not the full buy on either side. But I think that Cosmic Divide, we were questioning it a little bit, but Hanada falling, being separated, if they had played a little bit farther back, they would have been fine. But the way they were playing, it just absolutely set them up for being collapsed on, and that was a big pick that enabled Nova to win that.
Beefy, gonna miss one, doesn't even get the chance at another. Now, luckily enough, also took no damage, so it's truly not the end of the world. But as we wait to see what that first elimination will be, it truly can make or break depending on who the agent is, which team it falls on, so on and so forth. This could change in the drop of a hat. I have no predictions on how this round goes.
Take flight.
Ultimates are in favor of Madison. I think the biggest thing is the Omen TP. How will they use it? If they use it in the way that enables them to either get onto a point or just be a distraction, that could be huge. Nova, their ultimates are much more reactionary, so they're just gonna have to wait for really what Madison ends up doing here, because nothing's happened. They haven't had a chance to use it themselves. They're just waiting.
Yeah, and I'm not particularly fond of Omen's ultimate. I feel like it truly doesn't fit the play style of Valorant as a whole. I'd love to see it get reworked one way or another, but I mean, it can be used in very unique ways. There's that weird like pseudo bug where you can TP, grab the spike, and then cancel the TP wherever you're standing, but right now, I mean, the TP may not even be needed as Menace will find that first kill. Will be the next to fall. Things all of a sudden looking great for the MCC. Nezuko falls, the spike not planted. 6 seconds left. You've got plenty. You need 4.5. I don't think they have time. Oh, I think they're too late. I think they are a fraction of a second too late. Less than 0.3 seconds on the clock, but Menace just barely gets that spike down. Guaranteed additional credits into the next round. The round lasts a little bit longer, and MCC can very much still win this. They've got the player advantage at the ready.
And look who's split this time, much farther back. Hanada trying to make sure that ultimate is good to go. We know that's not the end-all be-all. Everyone from MCC right now is in boathouse. This could be very bad if they're found out, but they have all the recon.
Oh my goodness, and Wiltz finds one, but just cannot find any more. That has at least guaranteed a draw, or not a draw, an overtime, excuse me, for Wolfpack. Now, Nova simply has to win 5 rounds in a row.
I don't have the money to do it.
I was going to say, which they have to do with absolutely zero economy. So, realistically, that last round very well may have been our penultimate round.
Yeah, it could be. Even with the round one before that saved the game. They lost so many people on the way. They only had 2 that were left. They kept having to rebuy, which means they could never build anything up. Madison, they're sitting pretty. They still have enough for next round for the most part, so even if they lose this, I think you gotta use Seekers here. You gotta use them right away to find out some information, but now it's a little bit too late with these.
Oh!
Spike down.
Golly, a double kill with the Judge. I love that gun so much, and Mary finds a 3K to boot. Ace with the equalizer. Vang finds Ace. 2v1. Hanada picks up one of them. Can he find one more? Hanada wakes up and finds the double kill to win not just the map, not just the game, not just the series, but the grand finals, closing in series thanks entirely to one anime named Sova, making a difference at the end of the day. Phenomenal game closer there.
Dynasty that Nova was looking for. They're looking for 3 in a row. It is denied. They'd only dropped 1 map the entirety of the season. Now they dropped 2 in a row to end the grand finals. It was close. I mean, especially in that first map, overtime. They just dropped the ball. This one, they were finding plays here and there, but they were never really fully in it. They couldn't even get to double digits. It's going to be not the end of the season that you wanted here in the fall. They still have the spring to look forward to, but right now it's all about the Madison Wolfpack. They have dethroned the Kings. They have become their own champions, and they have started a whole new legacy here.
The legacy has been told. The legacy has begun, and We'll get to talk to one of these players in just a couple of minutes. We're going to throw it to a small break. We're going to try to get somebody in here for an interview, and I truly cannot wait to hear from a player because this has been an incredibly fascinating series. Good evening, everyone, and one more welcome back to the NJCAAE Valorant Grand Finals. They have come to a close in a 2-0 fashion there. We are here with Menace, by the way, who was obviously an absolute powerhouse across the entire series. So, Menace, I mean, a first question, a very simple one for you, a 2-0 Grand Finals victory. How does that feel?
Oh, it feels amazing. You know, we put in a lot of practice. We knew we had a couple of like lower ranked players on our team going into it. They were incredible. They worked really hard to improve their mechanical skill. They worked really hard and we worked as a team and we had some really good communication. Me and C-Dog together were sort of like strat calling and like trying to like figure out and set up our teammates in positions to like thrive in. And it went really well. It feels amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure. So I want to ask, you're talking about improving and changing and communicating as a team. At what point in time did things really swap for you guys? Because when this series started, things obviously were not going well. I think at one point the scoreline was 7-2 or 9-2. You guys were losing by a notable margin. And then all of a sudden, the drop of a hat, you win, 9 rounds in a row and just absolutely flip the series on its head. So what big difference do you feel you guys made to really turn this series around?
Go B. I ended up getting an op in my hands, and it made openings a lot easier. We had a pretty good read. They didn't really switch much up on B. They had Berry time. I think they're Viper playing it most of the time, and they sort of just played retake. We were really confident in Icebox going B. We practiced that a lot because most teams have a pretty retake centric like form on Icebox on B site.
Right.
So we kind of abused that until we win. And then once we got some momentum, once we won 3 in a row, we just clawed it back round by round, and we had a lot of momentum.
Yeah, you did. And I want to talk about that. I mean, you in particular had an amazing game, especially on that second map on Ascent, 26, 7, and 3 when all was said and done. But, your team as well played really well around you. It was Hinata getting that final kill. Nezuko had some really great stage plays, C-Dog and Ace as well helping out. As a team, momentum is really important. So how are you guys able to take what you did on that first map, Icebox, and transform it into Ascent going forward? How are you able to build off of that momentum you had?
Yeah, so we actually did some research into the team. So that's like on our pistol round. I full ran through A and flanked them mid. They've done the same pistol round for the past few times. So we actually did quite a bit of prep on their Ascent because we knew they liked picking it. So we sort of had an idea of their setups. They switched it up a little bit, but we kind of knew their comp was going to run, what their whole like kind of play style like goes around beefy. And if we could shut them down, which we tried to do early, everything kind of went well.
I think that definitely showed on Ascent. I was talking about that a lot, how Beefy seemed to be the first one down every single time, and it definitely did not feel accidental. It felt like you guys were looking for that kill, and when you found it, you won every single round afterwards. I think that play worked super well, and it really, obviously it did. You guys win 2-0 Grand Finals. So, the last question, or second to last question we have for you, pulls us out of this series in particular, and one that's been on my mind since I read this fact. You go from Fortnite to Valorant, which other than the fact they both have guns, they could not be more different styles of games. So I want to ask, what happened? Where does that connect?
Yeah, so Fortnite was starting to like get a little bit stale for me. I enjoyed playing CS:GO a lot, like before Fortnite, but Fortnite, like I actually made a little bit of money playing the game, and then they started like making it like for really exclusively top players only. So it was really tough to like actually make money. And then I started playing a little bit more Valorant. I had quite a few friends switch over and just play for fun, and it sort of just expanded and went on. So yeah, it's been good. It's been really fun.
It's almost that Fortnite is the wild card rather than Valorant. You went from CS:GO to Fortnite to Valorant. Okay, that makes a little more sense. And then we just want to ask you one more question. Of course, I love to ask everybody that I get to interview this question. A very simple one. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out or a thank you to just before we let you go for the evening?
Oh, just my teammates and my coach. Our coach doesn't have as much expertise in Valorant, but he was always there for our practices if we ever needed anything. And my team, we worked really hard for this. We knew we were going to have to play really well, and it was a big thanks to them. They were working jobs and everything, and we had to manage our time well, and we got it done. We're really happy.
Yeah, you got it done indeed, my friend. You give us quite a series here tonight. And, tell your whole team a huge congrats. We only get to interview one of you, but all of you obviously put in the work to win here tonight. And so, a huge congrats to every single one of you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for casting the
Awesome.
event.
Thank you. Oh, of course, it's our pleasure. It's our
pleasure.
favorite thing to do in the world. All right. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yep.
And with that, folks, we are unfortunately going to call it a night. I say unfortunately. That was a great series. It had to come to a close at some points. I mean, I'm really glad that ended that the way it did, and that was just incredible across the board. I know I can speak for Jack and myself when I say that we are unbelievably honored and stoked to be casting these grand finals. It's a pleasure a weird way for me to make my debut at grand finals, but still very glad to be here. Very excited to be a participant in this event. A huge shout out to Chadlantis and Callow in the back line for giving us all the production and observing that you guys saw. Everything except for literally us was done by them. So the cameras, the setups, the overlays, the observing, so on and so forth. Our jobs would not exist without them. And our jobs, of course, would not exist without all of the wonderful teams that were here throughout the entirety of the season. Of course, the teams that came out tonight. And of course, all of you. So thank you everybody so much for watching. It has been nothing short of a pleasure. But for the time being, check your posture, drink some water, and don't forget to love each other. Everybody enjoy the rest of your night.